Hello and welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk about fats. This is the nutrient description series, and today we're going to view how fats are digested and absorbed in our body. Let's begin. Okay, so fats have the triple nutrient functionality as well. They have the energy, the plastic, and the regulatory functionality as proteins. Fat classification is glycerides, phospholipids, sterols, and other lipids. Glycerides are made from glycerol and fatty acids. They are used for energy and energy storage. Phospholipids are made from phosphoglycerides and phosphosphingolipids. They are used for biological membranes, cell membranes. And then sterols, the cholesterol and the phytosterol, and they are made for structure of the cell, for the membranes too. And then there are other lipids such as free fatty acids, waxes, vitamins, and pigments. Here we have to talk about essential fatty acids. The omega-6 is the linoleic, and in the omega-3 is the linolenic. These are essential fatty acids we need to get into our diet because we cannot synthesize them in adequate quantities. Other omega-6s are the arachidonic and the DPA, and these omega-6s are pro-inflammatory and platelet aggregator. So we don't have to have an excess of omega-6s. On the other hand, omega-3s such as the linolenic, the EPA, and the DHA are anti-inflammatory, and they are weak platelet aggregator. And as being anti-inflammatory, they counter the inflammatory response from the omega-6s. So the optimal ratio for these two in our body should be 1:1 or even 2:1. In some literatures they say 5:1 in favor of the omega-6s because they are more present in our food, and that should be the optimal ratio. But we have a little problem. In our society we have 25:1 in favor of the omega-6s, and that's a very big problem because those fatty acids are very inflammatory. Anyway, the metabolism of fatty acids and fats in general, they can go through beta oxidation, the fatty acids, to create acetyl-CoA, and then acetyl-CoA will create ATP, cholesterol, fatty acids, and even ketones. You can learn more about the fat metabolism in my playlist of the metabolism series I have in my channel. So digestion and absorption. Digestion: in the duodenum, the bile emulsifies the fats so that they can be attacked. Because in the duodenum we have the pancreatic juice. It contains lipase, the phospholipase, and the cholesterol esterase. We need to emulsify those fats because the bile has to play its role before the pancreatic juice starts to play. The problem here, I put children lack pancreatic lipase. The pancreatic lipase is very important for fat absorption, which we're going to see next, because without the lipase we cannot degrade the fat into fatty acids, and bigger molecules of fats are not absorbed. And this is a problem because many important fat-soluble vitamins cannot be absorbed, and that will lead to severe problems in children. But they have other lipases such as the soluble lipase, even the stomach lipase, and the intestinal lipase to counter that lack of the pancreatic one. Absorption: well, in the jejunum ileum, they enter to the enterocyte as micelles to pass the water layer. I talked about this in the first video, in the introduction video, that the absorption of fats need micelles because there is a water layer before the enterocytes, and they have to get into the enterocytes as micelles. But short-chain fatty acids pass without micelles. They do not require micelles to pass the water layer. And once inside the enterocytes, chylomicrons are created, and they go through the lymphatic system, and then in the lymphatic system they have a check to make sure everything is in order, and there are no pathogens with those fats. And then in the bloodstream they can go then into the liver. But once again, short chain fatty acids go straight to the liver because they enter into the post-hepatic circulation that goes straight to the liver. On the other hand, the lymphatic system bring those chylomicrons to the systemic circulation, and they will eventually go through the tissues and then to the liver. Transportation: chylomicrons, very low density lipoproteins, intermediate density lipoproteins, low density lipoproteins, and high density lipoproteins. The chylomicrons, they transport the exogenous triglycerides from the digestion, because I have to mention that once we absorb them and they are inside the enterocytes, the fatty acids are going to get converted back into triglycerides, and then they are put inside the chylomicrons. So we have triglycerides inside the chylomicrons, exogenous triglycerides, and then they go to the muscles, to the adipocyte, and to the liver, as I said. We have then the very low density lipoproteins, and these transport the endogenous triglycerides and to the liver, and then in the liver they create acetyl-CoA. Intermediate density lipoproteins, they have both triglyceride and cholesterol, and they bring those two to the liver and the tissues. And then we have the LDL. Some people call it the bad cholesterol, but in reality there is no such thing as bad cholesterol. The only thing that it does is giving the cholesterol from the liver to the tissues. This is made for repairing those tissues that require the cholesterol for their membranes. So if, for example, I work out and I break my muscle, I will eventually have higher levels of LDL because my liver is going to help my muscle to recover, and it will send the bad cholesterol, which is not bad, to those tissues to get repaired. And then we have the HDL, called the good cholesterol, because it does the other thing. It will get the extra cholesterol in the tissues, and it will bring it back to the liver. So once the job is finished and I repaired my tissues, I will say, well, I don't need more cholesterol, you can get back to the liver. And the HDL, which is high density lipoprotein, will get that cholesterol back to the liver. I have to mention that there are specific receptors and lipoprotein lipase, because each and every one of these need a specific receptor to attach to in the membrane of the cell in those tissues. So then the lipoprotein lipase can act on them and release the triglycerides in the case of the chylomicrons and very low density lipoproteins, triglyceride and cholesterol in the IDLs, and cholesterol in the last two. Then we have the apoprotein C, apoprotein B, and apoprotein E. What are apoprotein? So you have to know, well, these are lipoproteins. So they are a combination between fats and proteins. So now we're going to look at the protein part. Apoprotein C is part of the VLDL and chylomicrons, and it activates or inactivates the lipoprotein lipase. To be precise, the C2, the apoprotein C2, activates the lipoprotein lipase Lipase means to break down what? The lipoprotein. And this is the same enzyme used for getting those molecules inside the tissues, inside the cells. So one activates it and the other inactivates that enzyme, apoprotein C2 and apoprotein C3. Apoprotein B is part of the VLDL, IDL and LDL and the chylomicrons as well, and it is basically the lipoprotein structure and the formation. It's in charge of creating the vacuole that contains those fats. And then the apoprotein E is part of the VLDL, the IDL, the LDL, and the chylomicrons, and allows lymphatic system transportation, because especially the chylomicrons, they need apoprotein E because they can only enter the bloodstream going through the lymphatic system first. I have to mention also that the very low density lipoproteins, we start to lose triglycerides, we will eventually get into the IDLs, and if we start to lose triglycerides in the IDL, we get the LDL. So these three are very, very similar to each other. They only differ on the quantities, and you can transform a very low density lipoprotein into a LDL by losing triglycerides and gaining cholesterol. So that's it. This is the video about fats in the nutrient description series. I hope you like. Share this video to friends and family so they can learn more about fats. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you're new, and tell me in the comments below if you have any doubts or suggestion. I will appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I see you on the next one.